All right, well, welcome everybody. Thanks for making it all the way in Ignite till Thursday afternoon. I appreciate you spending your valuable time with us. The topic for today is all about agentic defense. I'm delighted to be here with Krishna and Evangeline, and actually Reena's going to come up as a customer for an exciting discussion there too. I'm Scott. Nice to meet everybody here. All right, let's dive into it. So, as you've probably heard at the conference, but I want to underline in my section, we've been working very hard to evolve Microsoft Sentinel over the last, well, honestly, since I started with Microsoft Sentinel 6 years ago, but in particular over the last year or so, we've been taking the next level of evolution with Sentinel to make it an agentic platform that is suitable for SIEM, but also a broader set of use cases in terms of AI across our entire security portfolio. And so that's a critical part of the topic that we're going to dive into as we move forward. And so as a frame before we get into Sentinel itself, I do want to step back. Our overall offering at Microsoft centers in the brands of Defender for threat protection, Purview for data security, of course, Entra for identity, and Intune for device management. There's a reason that Sentinel is at the bottom of that. It's not because it's the least important, it's because it's the platform. That's why it's there, that sits underneath that, and I'll make that more real in another slide. Each of these solutions, of course, works great in its own right, but one of the key advantages of having this broad portfolio is that you have scenarios that integrate across things. So, data security can be very helpful when you're in the middle of a SOC investigation, and so Purview working with Defender, just to pick an example. Obviously, identity, same thing in SOC scenarios and others. So, yes, it's about the brands of the products, but ultimately it's about the scenarios that we enable regardless of the brands of the products, and Sentinel is one way that brings that all together. This whole platform is then supported by what I think is the richest threat intelligence in the industry. Certainly no one else sees 100 trillion signals per day. Microsoft gets access to all those signals with all the attacks on everything from Azure to Microsoft 365 to Xbox to Dynamics to you name it, all of the endpoints that we protect. All of that threat intelligence from a massive diverse set of sources is then bubbled up. We have some of the cleverest people, at least in my opinion, I've met many of them, working in security research that then take that information and then put that information into what ultimately is the threat pipelines that do detonations and obviously identify various threats as we move further forward. So that threat intelligence is key. And security services we're less well known for. Having said that, you probably saw we announced Defender Experts Suite at this particular conference, which brings together managed XDR services and incident response services and designated engineering. And of course, we have a broad ecosystem of partners out there who are amazing at helping our customers too. If I step back in Sentinel, I'll get all teary-eyed on this slide because I still remember the day we named Sentinel. But and we only had one choice for a name, by the way. It was Sentinel and nothing. So the person who approved the name, I'm very grateful for, because I didn't have a second choice. Anyway, as we have been on this journey with Sentinel, we've tried to be very much at the leading edge of technology. We were the first cloud-native SIEM. We were one of the first to bring together SOAR and UEBA and TIP into a single offering and not have it splintered into multiple things. With Security Copilot, obviously was the first generative AI out there for security, the data lake on top of that, and today we're into the platform. So we will continue to evolve here as we move forward, and I'm really excited at where we are on this step of the evolution. It's really been an incredible journey, and thank you to those of you in the room who is a Sentinel customer actually. Thank you. Yeah, look at those hands. I love that. Thank you to all of you. We are very much a feedback-driven organization, so we appreciate all the feedback. I remember the day when Sentinel was brand new and we had one connected to one system, and there was a ton of feedback around, you're a SIM, but you need to connect to my stuff. And because of you, 350 plus connectors have been built on top of Sentinel to just a massive breadth of systems, and there were some good performance improvements in those this year, by the way. But thank you for everything you do, using the product every day, but also helping us get better. Absolutely keep the feedback coming. That's one of the things that I get excited about, is how we can help next. It's also great to see that Sentinel is, no longer my baby, I guess, but is very much an industry leader. It's important for us to always look, as we look across our portfolio, at each of the individual pieces. And obviously there's some strong competition in all these markets. I have a lot of respect for any of the vendors on this list. But it's amazing to see that Sentinel is a leader in both the Forrester Security Analytics Wave and, of course, in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for SIEM. And being best of breed is absolutely something that is fundamentally important to us, while also, frankly, disrupting some of these categories is another key thing that we work through. So if I think about Sentinel the SIEM before I go back to the platform pieces, these are the three kind of core value props of Sentinel the SIEM. The first piece is all about optimizing cost. Some of this overlaps with the platform. A data lake is an important piece of that. I'll come back to that. We also have, as you know, a set of SOC optimization tools. This enables you to, for example, if you're importing data into Sentinel and not using it for security value, it highlights that, and you can either save money or better still build detections. And so we want to make sure that you're getting a great experience on top of Sentinel. And if that's optimizing your costs to make sure only the things you put in Sentinel has security value, or reducing the overall cost of storage, that's a critical way that we can scale, because we know that you can't put all your data historically into the SIEM, and that's been a challenge to get great security, and a core thing that we've been working to address. More on that in the next slide. Of course, we're here to enhance your security in a multi-cloud, multi-platform environment. Of course, there's built-in threat intelligence capabilities. One of the big advantages of Sentinel, of course, is it works directly with Defender. If you have Defender and Sentinel, they're in the same user experience as of August last year, although, of course, some customers are still migrating and will be doing that until the end of or mid of next year. So they're in the exact same user experience. And the capabilities just get better when you add Sentinel, which is a difference than doing a step function change to some other product, is that deep level of technical integration. And then, of course, AI at multiple dimensions, whether that be agentic, that I'm going to spend a ton of time on. In fact, probably agentic is a key one. If you think about the things we've announced this week alone, I'm really excited about the threat intelligence briefing agent that gives you the visibility into threat intelligence that's tailored for your organization, including the ability to drive into vulnerabilities, and if you have Defender, then even look at your exposure in Sentinel to threat hunt against those. That's really exciting. And when you threat hunt, we've introduced this new dynamic threat detection agent, which is pretty cool, that gives you the ability, or threat hunting agent, that gives you the ability to go ahead and converse backwards and forwards when you're threat hunting and get there faster. So with that as the frame for the SIEM piece, and just to be clear, Sentinel is and will always be a SIEM, I want to spend most of the rest of the time on the new platform pieces that both support the SIEM and also a broader set of use cases. And so you can think of it as, we're evolving Sentinel from a SIEM to this AI-ready platform, all of which is now generally available this week. And has been an incredible journey for us. And Krishna, who's been deeply involved in building all of this, will come up and show some of this in more detail later. But you can see the new picture, if you like, from an architecture picture is, yes, Sentinel does SIEM, but as you can see, it swipes across the bottom because it is now fundamentally the platform that sits underneath Defender, sits underneath Entra, sits underneath Intune and Purview. And so our first-party products now can take advantage of a set of architectural capabilities, whether or not you're using the SIEM. It's great if you're using the SIEM, but if all you're using is Purview, you can connect to the data lake and Sentinel and do IRM graphs as a result of that, or data security investigation graphs. So there are standalone use cases, and we're just getting started on those. You'll see us build a lot more of those. For Purview today with the Sentinel platform, and obviously Defender with the Sentinel platform, and we'll evolve additional use cases on our first-party products over the course of time. What is the base platform? Well, fundamentally, it's built up at this level of detail. Krishna will go the next click stop of three things. The first is the data lake, very low-cost storage, monetized in the standard high volume data model of cheap storage with query being a separate cost so that we can make sure that you can get all the data in you want and you're not restricted in the data that you get into the data lake. Highly scalable, of course. Every single piece of data that you put into log analytics and Sentinel and the SIEM is automatically copied for no additional charge into this data lake. And of course, you can put a lot of data that you weren't going to put into log analytics. Perhaps you put in auxiliary logs or some S3 bucket. Now you can put it into the data lake and get all the management capabilities associated with Sentinel from that. The next up is the graph piece, and the graph is fundamentally important for connecting the dots and forming relationships, so you can do predictive analytics, incidents, get ahead, both in posture and threat protection, and then of course an MCP server, and we're going to dive into much more details of that later. Copilot is everywhere in this architecture. Copilot lives at literally every layer in the stack. There are tools that are surfaced from the MCP server that are Copilot. There's Copilot in the user experience of Defender. There's Copilot everywhere, which is why it's on the right-hand side. And then, of course, the 350 connectors, which I should have put a list of, but you can find up on our website, because I know that's often a common question. I did just want to pause. I won't read the quote out loud, but it's exciting to see customers using this. This is an example of Toyota and how really being able to correlate everything together from a scattered story to a single canvas and a single user experience absolutely improved the experience for them, which is absolutely exciting. And we'll hear some more from Reena at Centrica a little bit later. Well, one of the things I missed talking about, actually, so let me just do that, on the platform is this box on the right-hand side, which is it isn't only about first party, it's absolutely about open ecosystem. And so if you're a software vendor or an enterprise customer and you want to build an app, and that app doesn't use Defender or Entra or Intune at all, but you want access to all this data that's in the data lake, and you want to use these tools and this graph, then you can build directly on top of this platform, which is why it is an agentic platform after all. There will be an ecosystem that's built on top of that. And with that ecosystem, of course, comes a way to deliver that value to customers, and that way is through a security store. So you can build agents, for example, and host them in a security store. This is the list of partners that to date, basically at launch, now that we're generally available, have already gone out there and used Sentinel as a platform and build applications. So just to pick one, Illumio has some unique networking capabilities, but when you connect that to the data in the customer's tenant for the data lake, that really enhances their product experience. And so they found value in building an integration directly into the Sentinel Data Lake, which is great for them and great for their customers. And there's many other partners here that are doing the same thing. So if you're a partner and you're looking to enhance your solution with all of the data that comes in a customer tenant within their bounds, of course, in the context of SIEM and XDR, you get that capability and even beyond as we continue to scale the platform. So enough of me talking. What I really want to do is pivot to a series of demos, and we're going to use this as the frame in terms of seeing what others haven't been able to see, obviously because you have a breadth of data in the data lake and data gravity as a result of that, and that's the output. Connecting dots together in terms of the graph and then agents. And so with that, and I told you it was going to be a more detailed version, I'd like to invite Krishna on stage, who's responsible for building all this capability. Welcome, Krishna.
Thank you. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you have a great Ignite sessions going on. How many of you have already heard about Sentinel Data Lake? Okay, so that's great. Anybody have deployed it already? Wow, that is awesome. So that is great. How many of you have your own data lake independent of it that you have done? Okay, so that is few. So today we are going to talk about the entire Sentinel platform that Scott has already talked about, which is purpose-built for security. And with that, for any modern agentic AI era, we need a platform that accesses the brain to the AI and the agentic systems. And that is what we have developed as the Sentinel platform. And to begin with, for that, you want to go with to say, hey, bring all data in together. That means you are able to see everything that you haven't been able to see before. That means bringing all the data unified across all the data sources in one single location. That is the core heart of what the Sentinel is. And this all starts with creating the foundational data layer. That is what you see at the bottom of it. This is the foundational data layer, creating a solid foundation. This is all done in the open format way, which Scott talked about. It is the ecosystem that the entire platform is built with an open platform mindset, which means the data that is stored is also in the Delta Parquet that anybody can access into. Earlier this summer, we announced general availability of the Sentinel Data Lake. That are already hundreds of customers that who are already deployed in production. And what makes it so powerful is that this data lake becomes the foundational data plane of our Sentinel platform. And unlike traditional SIEM, if you have to get threat intelligence data, you need a different pipeline. If you want to get an asset information, you have to have a different pipeline. And if for others, you need to have a different set of pipelines. But the Sentinel brings all of them unified. We already bring 350 data sources of data, all from outside into one single Sentinel data lake together and have a streamlined data management, whether it is asset data, the activity data, or threat intelligence data, all in one single set of connectors, one single set of data storage, and streamlined set of data management, all with that. Plus, with the data storage, it is not like one fixed cost of everything that you do. We have decoupled the pricing between the storage and the query, and you only pay for what you use. That means that you're giving a flexibility of the scale of analytics without inflating your storage cost. Okay? And next, our industry-leading SIEM, which Scott already talked about it, and it has been a journey for us for a while. The SIEM also sits on the same set of the data. And unlike many platforms where you look at it where I do your own DIY data lake, you have a separate experience for going in to look at the long-term investigations versus you are looking at the current analytic tier data. This is all coming into one place, one unified experience across the hot data and what is there is in the data lake. It brings the experiences together and give you the rich insights building on top of the data into what is happening across the entire digital estate. But we know that the insights alone aren't enough. And organizations rely on SIEMs and a mix of tools to the centralized logs for detection and hunting. In today's fast-paced world, attackers are leveraging AI, and you have seen recently the Anthropic talked about the first agentic attack that is already starting to happen, and you need a system that you can stay ahead. And we have a few exciting announcements that we are going to talk about, and this is a SIEM to help address those challenges, and we'll walk through a bunch of these demos in the next few minutes, actually. First, I wanted to start with the expansion of the XDR attack disruption. Capabilities in the SIEM, this enhancement allow us to allow us to stop the threats across the AWS, Proofpoint, and Okta, effectively disrupting the attacks before they spread. By enabling real-time protection across the cloud boundaries, we significantly reduce the dwell time and minimize the impact. By the way, our Defender customers already been enjoying this capability and already disrupting the six-figure incidents monthly and having hundreds of thousands of compromised accounts. Now capability is extended to the SIEM and redefines what SIEM can do for our customers. Another exciting piece of news is today, Microsoft Sentinel now includes threat analytics, which provides customers with access to Microsoft's comprehensive threat intelligence library. This feature delivers a unified threat intelligence experience with deep insights into the threat actors, their tools, and known vulnerabilities, along with the finished intelligence that Microsoft threat intelligence research that we do today. And this is where Scott talked about where we're collecting a whole bunch of internal incidents, threat intelligence that is coming from M365, Azure, and our own customers, and Xbox, and everything, Dynamics 365. all of that threat intelligence data that we process them, we make it available part of that. And next, we are also excited to announce the enhanced AI-powered SIEM migration experience for Microsoft Sentinel. This is designed to migrate from Splunk and QRadar faster and easier. Support for Splunk will be available in public preview by December, and then the QRadar one will fast follow. It does more than just translating the syntax. By the way, with one click, you can activate the recommendations rules and connectors to get your security logs and data and running that fast. The Sentinel's unified approach to the data management ensures the scalable retention. We normalizes the data and the data views and the AI-ready context on the data, enabling advanced analytics, automation without the additional integration overhead. This is pretty much like, if you think about it, if you have to do your own data lake, you have to continuously worry about ingesting the third-party data, you have to worry about normalizing the data, and then you have to keep working towards all of the third-party data to kind of process it, normalize it. We have taken all of that out with an integrated data lake that goes within the Sentinel SIEM. And when needed, you can also, the other part of it, like when you needed to do like, okay, everything is in the data lake, I have an analytics rule, you can always move the data between the different tiers from the data lake to the analytics tier seamlessly based off of the queries and the subset of data that you wanted to bring. That also reduces the amount of cost that you do on the analytics tier as well. By unifying the security data all centralized in one place, the SIEM and the data lake come together in one single way to help our customer with a unified experience that they haven't been able to see. As I said before, people who have done their own data lakes, they have to have their own data lake. You have to go to some other locations to have the analytics and the detections happen, and then you come back to your SIEM solution and do all your detections. Now you have it all in one place within that, where you can run the same query, take it from the analytics tier and execute it on the data lake over the period of extended time, and you are able to see the data that is there. Okay, now let's invite Evangeline to do the demo.
All right, thank you so much, Krishna. Okay, so what I want to show you today builds on the news Krishna just shared, automatic attack disruption. So we know attackers don't care which cloud you use, so you need visibility across your multi-cloud environment. Sentinel makes that really easy. With the AWS connector, I can pull CloudTrail logs straight into my SIEM. And then, as you can see here in table management, I have the option to put that data into the lake or my SIEM. So if I put it into the SIEM, it's going to get automatically mirrored to the lake for free. And what I'm going to do here is send the data to my analytics tier so that it's instantly ready for correlation detection and action. And now let's take a look at how incidents incorporate data spanning across clouds. Okay, so here in my incident page, you can see I have an incident tagged with attack disruption. And I can see that there was a malicious AWS federated sign-in with a compromised Entra account. So Sentinel has already done the heavy lifting here, correlating alerts across Entra and AWS. And better yet, it's taken disruptive action for me. So let's open the incident and take a closer look. So I can see how Sentinel actually broke the kill chain here. The user's account was disabled, their session was forcibly terminated, and that backup job was disabled. So we contained the attacker before they persisted in the environment and caused more damage. And this is a really critical feature as it disrupts multi-stage and multi-domain attacks that include multiple workloads. So it would be nearly impossible for me to manually correlate all of these signals together, and by the time I did, it would be too late. And then something else I want to call out is that we've integrated threat intelligence into the platform, so TI data is going to show up here as well. My next question is whether this IP address is linked to any known threat actors. And I can answer that right here in the threat analytics page. So here I have threat overviews, profiles of threat actors, and then summaries from the threat intelligence briefing agent they just mentioned. And so I'll just enter the IP address from my previous incident here, and then now I can see the threat actor it's linked to. So super easy. OK, so this gives me a clear picture of emerging threats. But what if I find evidence of a stealth attack and I want to know what happened last week, last month, or even several months ago? I'm going to show you how we can use KQL jobs to automate deep hunts for these indicators of compromise across historical logs using the lake. OK, so if you're not familiar with jobs, don't worry about it. They're just scheduled queries, so super easy. I'm going to build one that handles IOC matching and summarization so that I can focus on real threats instead of repetitive queries. And I'll just set up my job with a name and description, and then give it a destination to store the results. And note that's going into our analytics tier again. And then next, I'll add a query that actually matches network logs against known malicious IPs from the threat intelligence indicators table. So I'm going to set the look back window to a full year. And I just want to call out this kind of long-range hunt is only possible with the lake. So super cool capabilities there. And then I'll schedule my job to run hourly. And then that's it, I'm done. The results will flow automatically into the analytics tier where I can use them in automated detections or link them to playbooks with analytics rules. OK, so this is the power of having SIEM and SOAR on a unified platform. Everything's connected. So again, what you saw was that we can correlate alerts across clouds, enrich them with threat intelligence, and then deep dive into threat analytics for deeper context. And then our lake data enables long-range hunts that I can use in detections and playbooks. And the idea here is that all of this is going to help you orchestrate multi-cloud defense cost-effectively and at scale. OK, now back to you, Scott.
Thanks, give her a hand. All right, with that, I would love to invite up to stage Reena Pathak, who has come, believe it or not, all the way from the, and we're going to go here first. All the way from snowy UK, I hear. It never snows in London, does it?
Well, I've heard a lot about thunder snow, which is quite rare. So I reckon I'm missing out on quite a few good snowball fights at the moment.
Exactly. Certainly coming from Seattle, I know that the infrastructure isn't designed for snow. Anyway, tell us about Centrica, which is where you work, of course.
Centrica is an integrated energy services and solutions company, and we're putting the customer at the heart of everything that we do. Imagine a world where energy is clean, reliable, and fair. Centrica is making that happen. Our purpose is simple but powerful, energizing a greener, fairer future. And I'm passionate about enabling our organization to achieve its goals by putting security at the cornerstone of everything that we do. Whether it's day-to-day operations or enabling key innovations, I'm really privileged to work alongside a team of really talented cybersecurity professionals, and together we're focused on anticipating threats, responding swiftly, and building resilience.
Amazing. So, I mean, we're always on a security journey. Where are you on yours?
We're at a really exciting part of our security journey. So today, we're focused on anticipating threats rather than just reacting to them. And to do that, we have to focus on how those threats are evolving, what drives them, and really build defenses that are effective and future-ready. And what that means is moving beyond traditional approaches. So we're focused on embedding generative AI into our workflows.
Very cool.
We're focused on scaling automations, and we're actually piloting agentic AI too. But as we embrace these technologies and emerging items, we are keeping the human at the heart of it. So we're really using this as an opportunity to empower our teams with the tools so that they can focus on the most high-value work, and really not just kind of view it as just another efficiency measure, but view it as something that can help everyone fulfill their capabilities to the fullest, reduce that burnout in our teams, and strengthen trust. We all know that cyber threats are, accelerating and evolving exponentially, and we must too.
I love that, and you're obviously at the leading edge of that. So what are some of the key security challenges that you're facing right now?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest challenges is complexity and navigating that in a digital landscape that has turned into something that our legacy approaches were never designed to deal with. And part of that, what comes with that is a fragmented tool set. So we've got data scattered here, there, and everywhere. And it's really kind of looking at where the signals are out of all of that. I think that's quite a difficult thing. And reducing blind spots in a hybrid environment, also a difficult thing. Doing all of this efficiently and cost effectively, which is important for the organization, and preventing that burnout in our teams in an era where threats are accelerating. And then comes depth and context. And again, connecting dots across lots of different indicators, looking for hidden threats, hidden risks, looking for and hunting for stealthy tactics, unknown threats, trying to exploit unknown vulnerabilities, always a challenge. And then comes the perimeter, right? Like, we are part of the energy ecosystem, and a lot of these threats are ecosystem-wide threats. So we have to defend in an ecosystem way as well, and that includes complexity and collaboration too. And then speed and scale. We want to enable our own organization to do its own rapid transformation, protect it from advanced threats, but do that at pace.
Wow, there's a lot on your plate, and one product can't solve all of those pain points, but you're using Sentinel, and how does that solve some of those pain points?
Yeah, Sentinel has become a keystone of our security strategy, especially with all the features that have been brought into the unified platform. You really listened to our pain points and responded brilliantly.
Thank you.
So we're looking at it beyond the SIEM. We're looking at it as a foundation, really, to do our centralized log management in the data lake, use the visualization features to enable things like advanced threat hunts, and really kind of that age-old problem of detections and logs. So what logs do we need for our detections? How can we store them cost effectively? How long can we store them for? Always really meant a bit of a compromise, a bit of a dilemma. And that sometimes resulted in auxiliary logs being stored elsewhere in multiple places. And the impact of that really is you've got some extra steps, right, to connect everything. And even in investigations, it could cause some delays and things like that sometimes. But what this gives us is a better approach to all of that. It gives us a cost-effective approach to centralize those logs, give us that visibility, and crucially, reduce those moments of lag in an investigation that could make a real difference. But what excites us the most about it is what it enables for the future. It's going to enable us to embed AI much more. We've already been on the journey with Security Copilot. We've been using that for things like summarization, so incident summarization, threat intelligence summarization, writing reports. We've also, our team's done some clever things around using Security Copilot to do things like dynamic quality scoring for our detection rules.
That's
so it can
cool.
enable them to fine-tune rules before they create a lot of noise. So that we've already been doing all of that, and we're really excited because I think the features like the MCP server are going to really help us accelerate that even more.
Amazing. Now, you've talked to a number of them, but do you have any more benefits or additional outcomes you want to share? Certainly, the data lake was one key thing, but tell me more.
Yeah, I think the benefits have been transformative across cost, speed, and innovation. And I know that there's more to come, and it's still evolving. If I talk about cost optimization first and foremost, I think the tiering approach in the lake really enables us to tap into that previously siloed data. Again, that enables smarter logging. It helps better investigations. So I think that's been super cool. I think that centralized view to enable us to do advanced threat hunting in an era where there's pre-exploitation of vulnerabilities, that becomes super important to do that all the time. And this really enables us to do that better. And then the visualization piece. Previously, I had to get the team to do a lot of manual dashboards to calculate things like blast radius, a user's blast radius, or an entity's blast radius. But because some of those things are now built in, that's going to really help us put context at the core and really take that preemptive, targeted action in a faster manner. And then, the innovation piece we're really excited about. I think that's the next big opportunity, really, and the prospect of designing custom agents going forwards to solve complex security problems end-to-end. That's something that really excites us. I think the building blocks are there in this platform for us to innovate safely, innovate creatively, and again, keeping the human at the heart of that, but move us to that place where we always want to be as defenders at that proactive security operations place and do that even more.
Amazing. So just a couple more questions. Let's keep it real. Like, if you could improve something on the platform, the stage of a few friends here, what can we do better for you as we product plan in the future?
I think if I was to focus on one idea, I would suggest building a truly unified front end. So improving the case management functionality, for example, in the platform, because our teams still have to use multiple tools for that. And what that would enable is really coordinating actions, not just within incident tickets, but broader within our cyber defense team. It would help that. And I feel that this platform seems like the natural home for that. And it will actually bolster some of the other features that have been brought out and help us work in a cohesive, intelligent platform that's already designed for speed, for efficiencies, for resilience as well.
Amazing, thank you for that. And Krishna, I assume you're listening hard to that, and we'll get onto that.
He's got it on the roadmap.
Yeah, exactly. I guess he's backstage right now. So yeah, let's close. What would be your advice to people in the audience who may be embarking on the journey? You're obviously a sophisticated customer. What's your advice?
Well, we're always on the journey. We're always fine-tuning. So there's not every answer is tailored to each organization, right? But one of the bits of advice would be to start with clarity and know what success looks like. I think that's pretty much what we do for all projects as well, but really kind of use it as more than just a technical migration. Use it as an opportunity to really refresh use cases, think about what's important for the organization. I think that's one thing that we've done with it. And when it comes to priorities, actually having a prioritization criteria for what you want to start with. For example, our team started with high volume, context-rich, low-risk logs, and that really worked well for us. Our teams had a really good testing strategy, so they knew how they were going to assess value before we were going to scale it up. We've talked a lot about the pace of threats and vulnerabilities, Scott, and with them increasing, we know that going forwards, we will have to integrate the human and AI capabilities together, and I think that collaboration is going to be an absolute game changer going forwards, and all of this piece is going to help. I think it's viewing it more than just a lift and shift. Use it as an opportunity to, design for the future. And I'll go back to what I said at the start: is putting that human element at the core of it, thinking about what training the team needs, and actually defining together what that high-value work looks like that we can really focus on going forwards.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing your immense expertise with us and traveling all the way for London and being a customer. I appreciate you so much. Thanks, Reena.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Cheers. Isn't she amazing? All right. With that, I would like to invite Krishna briefly back on stage, and then we'll get to some more demos. Cheers.
Thank you, Scott. And thank you, Reena, for coming all the way here and sharing your experiences and being a great partner in the journey. So thank you so much. I hope you all have good demos for the data lake. And let's move on to the next part of it. And now that you all have the data, we all been working through all the logs and everything that you have been doing it. But in the AI and agentic era, you wanted to be able to connect all the dots together, so you drive the contextual intelligence, you drive the knowledge, you drive B, and B become the memory and the brain behind the agentic systems. And to do that, we start with the next layer, which you have been seeing is the different modalities of the platform, which shows us the different formats of access. That has been to store and visualize the data. That is one, we have the KQL-based hunting. This is the one thing that I really, really want to land. Everything that you do in the analytics tier on the Sentinel today, you can take that and run that same query on top of the data lake, and that would continue to function on the larger data set and the larger amount of volume. And in our industry, there is an adage that says that attackers think in graphs and defenders think in lists. Graphs provides that contextual knowledge. The graph provides you that intelligence that be able to reason over and be able to make the decision faster instead of have to hunt across so many parts of the logs to be able to make that work. And to do that at our secure event last month, we have launched on the Microsoft Sentinel graph as the public preview, and to be able to visualize and bring the context of the assets and threat intelligence data and the activity data together to the data lake. And today, our graphs in Defender and Purview, that is all becoming generally available, which offer out of the box, which offers out-of-the-box view of threat investigations, attack path analysis, and incident correlation. And this has been a great journey to start with, and then there are many have talked about, what about me have a different scenario that I want to be able to create a custom graph? And if you think about it, that is where we are going. Now we are launching to the next step of it, where from the place where we had to be in the 1P graphs, which was supporting the Defender for Cloud and the exposure management and the Sentinel hunting and the Purview insider risk and data security, you can do the same with your applications, or you can create your own custom graphs, building on top of the data lake as well. This gives huge power for you. This is not like, okay, there is one model that is applicable to everybody. Every organization is independent on your own, so you need a way to be able to build on your own. And you can analyze and tailor and turn this into your unique security needs. By the way, the underlying technology here is powered by Graph in Microsoft Fabric. We have worked with them to be able to build a complete scale-out graph that has been launched by the Fabric early in the September, and everything has been that foundation for the graph, which provides the unprecedented scale and performance, and expect some more exciting news coming out of these layers of building the graph on top of it actually soon. Custom graphs enable you to structure the data specific to your organization. And are you all ready to see the custom graph demos? Okay, let's go and look at that. Evangeline, show us through.
All right, hi again, everyone. As Krishna mentioned, custom graphs give you the power to build graphs tailored to your unique security needs. And I just want to show you how easy this is. So I'm starting in VS Code with the Sentinel extension, and you can see that I've got lake data. It's all clean, normalized, ready to use. So I'm going to use this data to build my graph. I don't have to go integrate with a bunch of products. It's already there. And now the fun part. So I have my Jupyter Notebook open. And first, I define the blueprint for my graph and map it to the lake. So users, devices, and identities are all going to become nodes in the graph. And then adding properties is really easy. It's just going to be one line of code for columns on those nodes. Okay, and then I connect the dots. So edges are going to show group memberships and access relationships. These connections, like we discussed, can reveal lateral movement paths that would be really hard to see in a flat table. Okay, so here's the kicker. I can set a time window. Do we have any red teamers in the audience? Anyone at all? Okay, so yes. I was talking to someone on our red team just last week about this, and he's like, you know what drives me crazy is we'll find a compromised account, we'll see all of the attack paths that it could follow, right? And then we'll remediate everything. And then we want to know, hey, where else could this attacker have moved? Well, we don't know, because we just remediated everything. So let me show you how we address that here. So I'm going to build a custom identity graph showing my environment as it looked 4 months ago. And again, with historical data in the lake, I can use the graph to travel back in time and find hidden risks that were impossible to surface before. Okay, so the next step is to just build and query our graph. And once it's built, I can use algorithms purpose-built for security like shortest path, centrality, or connected components against my graph. Here, I've checked for highly connected users and devices to find potential choke points. Okay, so now let's query it and visualize the results. I'm going to look at privilege paths. And then here we can see the account from our previous incident when we opened up had significant access 4 months ago. So this is going to help me understand additional hidden risk in my organization. Okay, so today customers can actually join our preview of custom graphs in Microsoft Sentinel using the link on the screen. I'll just give everyone a chance to take a photo of that. Okay, awesome. Back to you, Krishna.
Thank you, Evangeline. How do you all like the demo? I hope you all be signing up pretty soon on this one, so I'm excited to see this. By the way, I wanted to emphasize a few things. When I talked about the open platform, and Scott touched about it, we talked about the platform had it to be in the 𝗦𝗽𝗀𝗸𝗀𝗃 in the data layer. Then we had the KQL that is well understood by the security folks. You also see that the graph is also stored in the 𝗦𝗽𝗀𝗃, plus you also have a GQL that is the graph query language that is standard in the industry, and that is exactly where we are going with. Every layer is built for being open platform. And that is what, let's move on to it. Man, so far it is exciting, and it gets even more exciting with the overall MCP tools. Now, I have the data. Now I connected the data. We need to make some meaning out of this data and enable it to be agents and to be able to access this data into the meaningful way. Now that you have seen the power of all the graphs, they also drive the contextual. I talked about it before that the graphs drives the contextual intelligence. That becomes the knowledge plane of the entire system. It is critical that the agents, okay, they want me to shut up? Oh, I need to dance, okay. Oh, am I out of time? Oh. Okay. Keep